Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is me, a little bit more tired. I went to work at 6 a.m. today and did not touch up my makeup or do a bunch of glam, but I feel like the message is still important for me to get out there, and it's about Gen Z, graduating college nowadays and ways to make it easier to get a job, because I know a lot of people are struggling, and I've seen it in articles a lot, to find work after college. So one thing I read is if you're already working part-time, if your company is big enough, maybe you can move into full-time, like don't burn any bridges. And it shows that you are willing to work and go to school, so that sets you apart in a good way. Versus, I'm not saying, if you want to give it your all to be an all-A student and, you can't handle working part-time, that's okay. I'm just saying you're not going to have the same benefits that somebody that challenged themselves like that will when it's time to come out, if it's a really good company. I'm very pro community college and trade school because I feel like that is a more fair return on investment, or at least it doesn't break the bank if it's not. And I think a lot of people are waking up and realizing, and I've done a video like this a long time ago, but I am not pro university. I think most of them are not good. I'm not saying that they're not good as far as academics. I think that they're not good as far as being overpriced. And something else that I like, according to Nicole's channel, okay? But she was talking about how there's a lot of AI postings, which is true. If you cannot verify their address too, that's a big red flag. So I wouldn't even waste my time because it's happened not super recently, but I'm just saying, well, I did it more for curiosity, not because I'm trying to change anything, but I did see that some jobs claiming to have a job at this at this city or town, and I look it up and they have nothing, so that's a red flag. I wouldn't apply there if you're a college graduate or looking for a job in general. Also, AI has taken over and they've got these keywords. So it really is more about who you know nowadays and trying to build connections, because there is another barrier. It used to just be the application online was more personal, but now there's another extra barrier where the AI stuff is becoming very inconvenient because it's so detailed and, it's just very detailed and frustrating. In other news, as I segue, that was kind of my business side of things. So now more into my personal vlog. I like watching Donna Unfiltered's channel. I think it's good. She's taken a step back, though, to remove some of her reaction content. And not all of it is bad, okay? But I do think maybe she realized that some of it was harsh for her to be judging a stranger, because there are people that take advantage. I'm not saying they don't exist, but I think for somebody who don't really know their whole story, it is kind of messed up for you to assume that they're not living in their car or trying to, that they're just preying on people's heartstrings. And I'm not saying that they're, that that's possible too. I just think it's not fair if you don't really know that person well to automatically jump to those kind of conclusions. And also reaction content news. I know Rain Spades had to really kind of evolve her channel right now because of a bunch of legal stuff going on. And then Leah Unfiltered, I was kind of surprised, kind of not, that she's disappeared. I will at least like to believe that maybe she reached her savings goals, and if it became too much for her, then it's probably good for her to take a break or just not come back, or maybe she'll be back in another format or another channel, I don't know. But I really hope that whatever it is that she's trying to pursue, will be a positive thing. I feel like I've been in that position before, guys. I've told y'all, when I could tell that somebody was very resentful because they were doing way more than probably what was fair, considering my age and everything, keeping a roof over my head and me not really contributing or helping as much as I should have. I think at the time it wasn't, and I wrote a book about this too, guys. It's called How to Survive Being Broke with Hope. And it talks a lot about how I think sometimes you're very in the moment and you don't always think that you're being selfish. You don't really realize it. It takes time to realize that you are being selfish, even if you've got close to nothing, or, you're barely able to pay your own bills. You don't really realize these things because of maturity, or, you're maybe in denial a little bit. So that's common. I feel like I'm in a much better place. Do I think it's perfect, or, I'm at the level that I would hope to be? Not completely, no, but I feel like it's not as bad, and I don't have those kinds of fears or stresses. I know I'm mentioning a lot of different people on YouTube, but y'all can tell I really like to watch YouTube, and I'll admit it. Caleb Hammer, he's a financial guy. And he talked to a guy that he kind of sounded like one of those degree people. And I'm not saying it's bad to have a degree, but he kind of acted like, maybe he's not wrong to say he thinks he should be better off because of his degree. But I don't think it's an excuse for him not to find a job, okay, at all. And also he was kicked out, and I felt so bad for him. He was kicked out because he was in a situation where he's living with his parents and taking advantage. And after so long, I do get tired of it. I'm sure that, you know, for an everyday person, it's a lot of stress. I know to be fair, I don't really know what it's like if somebody's like a doctor or lawyer and then their family, you know, is taking care of them completely, what their perspective is like. I mean, maybe they still have resentment, but it's not as bad. I don't know. Like I said, that's more of an individuality thing too. I'm just saying, I think maybe your perspective could be different if you have way more to give, if that makes sense. But I think, you know, most people work pretty hard for their money, and so they're going to feel some type of way if they feel like you're not at least trying to put in some effort and not just make the relationship all about you. But yeah, I better go because I'm ready to take a nap, but I'll see you on the next video.